Welcome to the Renegade Monster Truck Tour, where 12,000-pound trucks fly high. Corey Snyder in Toxic has the checkered flag, but Mother Nature may throw him a curveball. And a legend joins the fleet in Ohio. Not even a little of the wet stuff can dampen the spirits of the greatest fans in motorsports as the Renegade Monster Truck Tour rolled on for event number 2 in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. The day before, it was beautiful. Temperatures in the 60s, as you can see. Temperatures dropped and the rain started falling, but that did not stop the fans from enjoying the Renegade track party, flinging a little mud with the ride truck and the track crew trying to get the track manageable, but every time they did, it would start raining again. Now, coming into this event, Corey Snyder had the checkered flag on the back of Toxic. Go into the best trick competition. We're going to open things up with Leon Hostetter in Master of Disaster. All that mud making the track surface perfect for those cyclones, and Leon Hostetter opening up the best trick competition very, very strong with a score of 13. Right behind him, though, the Schroeder torsion bars. Barely tame Joe Lockhart out of the Keystone State, trying, now that there's an overall event championship to be won, trying to get that checkered flag onto the back of the barely tame Ford. Joe having a problem with a head gasket this weekend, and the rain is certainly not helping things inside the barely tame Ford. Toxic, Corey Snyder of Bethesda, Maryland, carrying the checkered flag coming into this event and going big in the best trick competition to try to keep the checkered flag on the back of that truck, although I don't think it's going to be white and black by the end of the event. His signature sky wheelies, and it was good enough to net him the best trick victory, a score of 17 for Corey Snyder in Toxic. So he has the lead going into racing. Would he be able to keep it? We will find out when we come back to a muddy Gilbert, Pennsylvania. Stay with us.
The Renegades return to the Selinsgrove Speedway in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, May 29th at 7 p.m. for the Renegade Monster Truck Tour. Come see all the best trick, racing, and freestyle action, featuring world-famous monster trucks such as Pennsylvania's own Stinger Unleashed, Pretty Wicked, Master of Disaster, Saigon Shaker, and more. Also, witness some of the coolest kids in the nation in the Wayne's Towing and Recovery mini monster trucks, as well as the brand new Renegade Road Rippers. Tickets start at just $10 and are on sale now. It all kicks off at 4 p.m. with the Kids Fun Zone, a bounce house, and you can ride in a real 12,000-pound monster truck. Engines fire at 7 o'clock. Don't wait. Get your discounted tickets now at monstersinselinsgrove.com before it's too late. Come see the Renegades.
The Renegade Monster Truck Tour rolling on from a muddy and sloppy Gilbert, Pennsylvania. The Renegades, though, pushing through the muddy track conditions to give these fans the show that they came to see. Round 1 racing highlights coming at you. And Master of Disaster at this moment is sitting just 5 points behind Corey Snyder in the overall event championship. Leon tries to close the gap. Leon Hostetter and Master of Disaster picking up a very important victory right there. Visibility issues due to the windshield and Toxic. He did not see the light, and that one went to Leon Hostetter, who moved on to the second round of racing against Colton Kaiser in Pretty Wicked, who we would find out on this run was struggling with a broken axle. It wasn't pretty, but Hostetter would come through and move on into the championship round, where he would take on the winner of our second semifinal round matchup. Toxic gets the reprieve as the fast loser to take on Joe Lockhart in Barely Tame. And it's a good win for Joe Lockhart. You can see they popped the windshield out of the Ritu Motorsports trucks, and I think that was to their advantage because they did not miss the light. And Lockhart moving on into the championship round against Leon Hostetter, but you could see it was tough to get around this track even on foot as Forrest heads down to the tabletop to run the staging lights. On the far end of the track, we get into our championship race. Joe Lockhart, as I've said before, this guy is chomping at the bit for an overall event victory. Fell behind a little bit in the best trick competition. He could make up some very important points here, but he had to go up against Leon Hostetter in Master of Disaster. Leon with the foot to the floor in Master of Disaster spinning, blowing the tires off on the line. And Joe Lockhart in Barely Tame makes up some very valuable points in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. Although the truck's looking a little worse for wear, Joe moves ever closer to trying to get that checkered flag on the back of that going chassis. Schroeder torsion bars, Barely Tame, as the best fans in motorsports look on from the cover of the grandstand. Joe celebrating in the slop. Of course, along with our monster trucks, we have our road rippers, and track wasn't any easier for them to navigate. Richard Kramer in Sidechick. On the far side, he won show number 1 from Gilbert, Pennsylvania. He takes on Zachary Graybeal in Twisted Metal. And this right here is where this course got very interesting. Not a lot of room in between those race lanes. And Richard Kramer making Graybeal work for it. Graybeal, though, looking to be moving backwards as he gets caught up on the side of that roller ramp and actually gets down in the mud. Richard Kramer with a sideways finish picks up the victory and heads on to his second Road Ripper final of the 2021 season, where he would meet up with Matt Boyer in Hitchhiker's Ride, who really got into some mud in his previous run. Actually almost missed a ramp completely, but this one would come down to the wire. Watch the green, or what used to be green, Jeep in the near lane as he makes the final corner. He catches the roller ramp. Technically a legal turn. He didn't eliminate the obstacle. Kramer trying to get the drive to the last ramp, but Boyer with another sideways finish takes the victory in a sloppy, wet Gilbert, Pennsylvania. As the rain continues to fall, it's actually getting harder at this point. Matt Boyer having trouble just getting back to the pits. We head into freestyle now. Joe Lockhart trying for that checkered flag. Would it be his day? It would not. That landing right there just broke a sway bar. When he makes this corner, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but there is a sway bar adjuster hanging down, and that would bring his run to a premature end. Joe, I'm not sure, is aware of it, but they would shut the truck down because that can become a safety issue very quickly. The Renegade track crew very aware of it, but Joe only going to score a 5 with a single move in that run. Not looking any possibility of him getting that checkered flag off the back of Toxic, although I'm not sure if he won it after the way it looks here in Gilbert. As spatially aware as he is normally, he even gets into the rail a little bit, as you see right there. Now, he wouldn't end up having the run that he was hoping for either. Listen for the engine note. Started crisp. As he rolls around, you can hear the engine popping. You can hear it struggling as mud collects on that air cleaner. And Snyder with a nice jump right there, working the track, but there is nowhere to go to get out from under the mud that truck is throwing on top of its own engine. It cannot get the air it needs to make horsepower, and that is robbing Corey Snyder of the kind of freestyle he would usually be able to do, believe it or not, in conditions like this. But he's pushing his way through it. As I said, all these Renegades worked as hard as they could to give these fans the show that they came to see. The normally green and black Ford out of Bethesda nets a 14, and that's just enough for the moment to keep the checkered flag on the back of that truck. But there was one guy left in the field that had enough points to take it away from him if he could just get through freestyle, and that's Leon Hostetter, who started off strong in Master of Disaster. He was ready to work this track, and as you can see, keeping it down the middle is about as hard as anything else. There is just no traction, but Leon Hostetter in Master of Disaster made a splash in front of the crowd in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. He's getting a nice run at the obstacles, but again, right there, you can see as soon as you go to shut the thing down, it doesn't want to stop. There is just no traction, and then taking off in mud is just as hard. You can't get the momentum back up to go obstacle to obstacle. Leon, though, seemed to be having the best run. As you can see, the headers are actually drying the mud that's collecting up on the sides of the bed of the Master of Disaster as he paints the bright red bow tie brown here in Gilbert, Pennsylvania, working his way toward the end of what was an awesome freestyle, especially considering the conditions. Leon Hostetter wanting to wrap this one up in fine fashion for these awesome fans of the Renegade Monster Truck Tour. Leon gonna make us clean our camera lenses off, but the 15 that he scored in freestyle was enough to grab the checkered flag off the back of the black and green Ford from Bethesda, Maryland, and that's got to be a big, big victory for a rookie in any form of motorsports, winning in adverse conditions, one of the worst condition tracks that we have seen so far on the Renegade Monster Truck Tour, but these guys worked with what they had, and they would motor on into the Buckeye State. Leon carrying the checkered flag into Marietta. That's where we're going next. Stay with us.
Looking for quality graphics? Look no further than Bradley Shaw Designs, specializing in graphic designs for banners, vinyl wraps, posters, promotional items, and more. Bradley Shaw Designs is the exclusive digital graphics partner of the Renegade Monster Truck Tour and Ratu Motorsports. For more info, check out BradleyShawDesigns.com.
Due to high demand, the Renegade Monster Truck Tour is adding a second event to the Selinsgrove Speedway in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, Sunday, May 30th at 12:30 p.m. Come see all the action, including Best Trick, Racing, and Freestyle, featuring Renegade Monster Truck superstars such as Stinger Unleashed, Barely Tame, Saigon Shaker, and more. Plus an appearance by me, Scott Douglas. Also, witness some of the coolest kids in the nation in the Wayne Towing and Recovery mini monster trucks, as well as the brand new Renegade Road Rippers. Gates open at 10 a.m. with a kids' fun zone, a bounce house, and you could ride in a real 12,000-pound monster truck. Engines fire at 12:30 p.m. Don't wait. Get your tickets now at monstersinselinsgrove.com before it's too late.
The Renegade Monster Truck Tour hanging out along the banks of the Ohio River right across from West Virginia, Marietta, Ohio to be exact, the Washington County Fairgrounds, and a great crowd turned out for a beautiful afternoon of racing, a much-needed departure from the cold and rainy conditions that we had in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. And there you see the guy who took the checkered flag out of that muddy event in Gilbert, Pennsylvania, Leon Hostetter, Master of Disaster, opening things up again in front of a great crowd in Marietta. But some of the guys that were coming after him this weekend, some new faces to the tour, and there's one of them, Rick Steffens, in the brand new Samson from right down the road in Circleville. We open up with highlights for our Best Trick competition. Leon Hostetter in Master of Disaster, putting it straight on the back end, not worried about burying that checkered flag in the cars, and he started off very, very strong. Didn't need mud to get those cyclones as he throws the clods up. Master of Disaster opening up the Best Trick competition with a score of 12. But we talked about this truck. Rick Steffens and Samson right behind him, trying to one him up. Get some nice vertical air right there, putting the fists in the sky. Rick Steffens in this brand new truck. This is literally the first event that it would see with 66s. Rick, though, trying to get him something a little bit different. He did so right down the race lanes with some huge hang time. Not enough to take over the lead with a score of 10, but a solid start for Rick Steffens and gaining some points toward that event overall. Another newcomer to the tour, Jerry Beck out of West Lafayette, Indiana, the flying dump truck called Dirt Crew. Jerry, seasoned veteran with a lot of seat time under his belt, but he's just recently been practicing his two-wheel skills. Watch this. Second stoppie of his career, and it was a good one, a strong start for his best trick run. The first of two moves he would make. Here's the second. Jerry watching Rick Steffens playing a game of anything you can do, I can do better. He would win the best trick competition, taking 40 points into the race bracket, and he would need it as he lines up right next to that brand new Samson. Big hang time on the end of this track, and Rick actually did himself a favor by testing those ramps in the best trick competition because he knew how the truck would land going over the finish line. He would move on into the semifinal round. On the other side of the bracket, Leon Hostetter, the checkered flag waving in the breeze, taking on the team truck to the Dirt Crew. That would be Michael Hicks in Quad Chaos. Hostetter making a nice straight pass down that right-hand side, working to keep that checkered flag on the back of that truck. He's doing a good job so far, trying to gain some points up on Jerry Beck, who would come back as a fast loser in the semifinals. Now, you see Barely Tame sitting right there. He made a bye run. Round number one, apparent electrical problems, among other things, would end up keeping Joe Lockhart off of the starting line in the semifinals. What did that mean? Michael Hicks got the reprieve in Quad Chaos and another shot to try to get his first Renegade Racing victory. Who would he line up against? None other than the Ohio man himself, the brand new Samson out of the PEI shop, Rick Steffens at the wheel, and Rick more than took advantage of a chance to race a truck that got back in through the brake rule. Nothing against Michael Hicks, but I think Steffens knew he wasn't going to get a ton of competition out of that round, so he made a point of testing those first two jumps sort of slow out of the gate, and then a huge launch off the end, really trying to find the sweet spot in that left lane. The other side of the bracket, Leon Hostetter sitting with the checkered flag, trying to keep it off of the back of the dump truck in the left lane, who's sitting with 40 points after the best trick competition. Our final semifinal round matchup, Master of Disaster and Dirt Crew. And Hostetter pointing and shooting at the end of the track as he tries to keep it out of the equipment down there. And there's plenty of runoff, plenty of shutdown here in Marietta. He used every bit of it. This is a very different track than what we've had in weeks and years past here on the Renegade Monster Truck Tour. Just adding that jump in no man's land is really throwing these guys for a loop. And you can see this huge rocket ramp they have to go over the elevated car stack. Leon Hostetter with a wicked landing in the shutdown area here at the Washington County Fairgrounds. We go on board with him, and this was the last time that our onboard camera would work. Hard hit right there. The camera's looking down at the pedals, and it would not work at all by the time he made it back to the pits. That thing took a lick. It's about on its last legs anyway, but we appreciate Leon letting us go for a ride with him, even if it was just for a couple passes. He rolls in to the championship race right here against Rick Steffens and Samson. Hostetter sitting with points up on Samson right now, but he needs to do everything he can to stay in that number one spot. Could he take a racing victory over one of the toughest competitors in the game, Rick Steffens, and that Hemi horsepower and Samson from right down the road in Circleville, Ohio. Leon out of Palmyra, he won in front of his home state, folks. Would Rick do the same here in Marietta? We would find out when the light went green. meantime, on the end of the track, they both made it interesting down there. You can see Steffens locking it up as Leon came right across his path, but it was Rick Steffens in Sampson taking a well-deserved racing victory. We're going to get a second look at that run because I want you to notice the ebb and flow. Both of them very aggressive off the start. Right there, Steffens gains about a truck length advantage, but Leon, I think, was gaining on him there at the end. It's hard to tell from that angle, and then the hard landing on the nose of the truck as he comes across the finish line. Definitely didn't disappoint. They used, again, every inch of shutdown area that this track had. And as they finished things up in the racing bracket, Rick Steffens would talk to Scott Douglas.
Congratulations, yeah. Well, coming out here with the Renegade Tour, great crowd, and again in your home state. Nice easy drive for you. Probably slept in your own bed last night. Congratulations.
It was definitely close to home. Definitely always happy to do an Ohio show, you know. Put out this brand new piece. This is the first time this truck has actually had big tires on this weekend. So to come out here and get a win, thanks to Zane, Renegade Monster Truck Tour, all you guys putting on this stuff. Scott, great to see a friendly face on the mic again. You know, not that Matt wasn't, but you know, you got to go the old school.
Well, it's great to see you guys, and you know, so many know the history. And again, talk about building an empire. Patrick Enterprises is building an empire. You know, so many monster trucks are the top ones in the country. But this is the newest piece, so it looks. Well, it is state-of-the-art. That's all that comes out of your place. But what do you think of it? Because it normally takes a while to shake them down, and you look fast.
Oh, it's definitely fast. It's pretty comparable to the last truck, so we did a couple different modifications so I can go a little bit bigger and harder in freestyle. So other than that, we'll see what happens.
Well, final thing, because I know a lot of these fans, you know, like a lot of us have kind of cooped up for the last year. They're out. They're ready to let loose. And when you come back out in freestyle, I know you got something to give them.
Oh yeah, man, this truck loves to fly. Well, I hope it does like my old one, so we'll find out.
Let's hear for your racing winner again, Ohio's own Rick Steffens and Sampson.
A lot of guys glad to see Scott Douglas back out here. Rick, trying to take that momentum toward an overall. Could he do it, or could Hostetter keep the checkered flag on the back at MOD? Find out when we come back to Marietta. The crowd was rocking in Marietta, Ohio as we came back from intermission to get ready for Monster Truck Freestyle. Leon Hostetter hanging in there with the checkered flag. Jerry Beck had the points lead going into racing. Did not have the points lead coming out. It was Sampson knocking on the back door, trying to get the checkered flag off of Master of Disaster. Not the only action we had in Marietta, Ohio. Of course, the Road Rippers, which we saw out in Gilbert, they were in the mud. They were glad to be back on a dry track, but this was a very demanding track, as we would see here in our first semifinal round race. Richard Kramer in the side chick. Third semifinal round of the year. Could he make it his third final round of the year? He takes on Josh Funk in the Young Gun, and this would be one for the ages. You see how aggressive this track is as Kramer wiped out that little roller getting on the brakes, but it was the final turn that was the most interesting. These guys agreed to yield to the others. Josh Funk said, no way, taking a little chunk out of the bedside of Richard Kramer's side chick. Kramer, though, would make up for it, gains a little revenge by getting the win and putting Josh Funk on the trailer. And there you see the little wound that the truck suffered going off the track. No structural damage, though. Didn't hurt the rear axle at all either. Another Ranger still in the bracket. This is David Pilichowski in Flipside, the Red Ranger in the near lane, taking on Zachary Graybeal in Twisted Metal, a truck that has been tapped in the rear quarter panel in its career as a tough truck now in the Road Rippers fleet. The black Jeep trying to make his way through. He had a little bobble right there, but Pilichowski was not worried about him at all as he pushed it on through to the finish line. A close race at the end, but not enough as Graybeal had some trouble midway through the run, coming up the second leg, and that would make it a 2-Ranger final round. Dueling Rangers, the older style against the slightly newer style. Of course, neither of these trucks is brand spanking new, but definitely making the most out of what life they have left in them. They look better than they probably would sitting in a junkyard somewhere rusting. Flip side and side chick in the championship race, pair of Fords in the finals. And Kramer is just so fast. Pilichowski, by the way, no one realized that he had already missed his first jump. He was not really in line to take this victory. He's still racing, but at this point, Kramer pretty much had it won. Pilichowski still trying to hang in there, but he, again, missed that ramp, and he go over it that time, but it was too little too late. Richard Kramer taking his second Road Rippers Championship race of the season. Now, something else you can expect to see when you come out to the Renegade Monster Truck Tour live. You got to get out and see it live, and here's another reason. The Wayne's Towing and Recovery Minis. There you see Peyton and Master of Disaster. She had those steering problems at her first event in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. Not so here. She looked awesome. Garrett was also in the Virginia Giant, and then another one that was putting on a show in two-wheel drive only after a wild ride in Gilbert. CJ in the Pretty Wicked Mini, and if you thought two-wheel drive was going to keep him from putting on a show, you'd be dead wrong. Dumping it over on the top. Wild ride 2 weeks in a row as it hooked in the dirt. There's CJ, though, very excited, caught up with Matt Isbell.
You always are doing something, whether you're sticking out of the tailgate, walking across the track, but this time you decided to turn her over. How'd it feel out there? These fans loved you, kid.
Well, we came out and I saw there was a big crowd today. We didn't get to come out for intro, so I thought I had to come out and do something big for everyone here. What did you guys think of it?
CJ keeping the crowd just as pumped up with his Mini as did the big trucks as Joe Lockhart opens up Renegade Monster Truck Freestyle competition, but he's making this run in two-wheel drive. Keep that in mind at the end because he did something rather incredible, but becomes noticeable. He's not having trouble making the moves happen at this point, and actually I don't know the crowd even knew that the truck was broken. Busted third member in the front end. It's not pulling. You can see it right there. He's kind of carrying it over those roller ramps. But Joe, keeping the momentum up, working the track as best he can. You could not tell that this guy just started driving a truck in the late summer of last year because he looks like a veteran every time he pulls out on the track, pushing the truck as hard as he needs to try to get the checkered flag on the back of it. At this point, though, there was really no way that was going to happen. He'd fallen so far behind in points. This run was basically just for the fans, and he made it well worth their while. Joe hitting just about everything on the track, and I believe the steering wheel popped off again on him right there. Not the first time it happened, probably won't be the last, but Joe can deal with it. Turned around and did this. I don't know if you call that a stoppie or not. Put the truck on the nose, really had no way to pull out of it. And still managed to roll on the front tires. Gonna definitely get another look at that one. He put up a number early and a score of 11. But watch, freewheeling on the front wheels. That was incredible. Props to Joe Lockhart for making that work. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Now, Leon Hostetter working to keep the checkered flag on the back of Master of Disaster. Freestyle not starting off the way he needed to. Problems right there. I believe the RII went down on him. Had to pull the truck off the track. Then Jerry Beck and Dirt Crew. He came out ready to fly, but things went sideways for Jerry real quick. It was a great save, but you heard the RPMs go to the moon right there. Beck with transmission problems almost immediately when he got into the throttle to save the truck. He blew the drop box, and that was all she wrote for Beck.
You guys having fun? Yeah! You know, this is awesome. My drop box just exploded. Everything just shot out the bottom of it. I was going to do it for you guys. It's been a great morning show. We're going to do what we can, but I'm glad everybody had fun.
Well, Beck got a few more points than did Hostetter, but it was going to be hard to get the checkered flag off of the back of the Master of Disaster Chevrolet. Michael Hicks, the other half of that team, came out to put on a run. Now that truck was not having a problem, but Hicks may need a little more seat time. However, he's looking solid at the wheel of Quad Chaos. Not afraid to go after some of these big obstacles, but a score of 10 would not net him the victory. Our final competitor on this day in Marietta would be Rick Steffens in the Keith Black Hemi-powered Samson from, again, right down the road, Circleville, Ohio. The bicep-clad Buckeye bow tie came out ready to put on a show. We know this thing can take some big jumps, and we know it can land just about as soft, if not softer, than any other truck out here. This thing was tuned, the engine sounded crisp, and the suspension was working nicely. Steffens works his way around the outside of the track. Keep an eye on that right front tire. It's already starting to go down a little bit. I'm not sure where the problem actually started. It was not on the jump you're about to see. Big hang time for Steffens again, though. Watch that right front when he makes this left-hand corner. It was not the big jump that killed him, but it does go down after only a few moves. I don't know that everybody on this track agreed with these scores, but at the end of the day, Rick Steffens and Samson, with the popped tire, managed to rack up enough points in freestyle with a 13. Rick Steffens pulls 40 points out of that best trick competition, which was enough to net him the overall championship. A big thanks to the Renegade Monster Truck Tour staff and crew for all their hard work. If you want to get out and see one of these events live, check out Renegade Monster Truck Tour on Facebook or RenegadeMTTour.com for all your Renegade Monster Truck Tour needs. It's been great so far here in Marietta. Full coverage coming at you from the evening event right here on Back Channel Productions. Don't miss it. We will see you then.